Oh, this is gonna mold me. Do I want to mold myself for the content? I think so, right? My content's better when I'm mauled. I help you all day long with this shit, sweetheart. Very pretty kitty. Aw, she slow blinked at me. How cute. Love you.
This guy crashed out about, I guess this is like a clip that I did. I am apparently the dumbest person to him.
One of the
Oh, well, that's valid.
things that's been driving me
Like, on its face, Asmongold is the dumbest person. Probably, period.
crazy more and more lately
Yes.
is when you have people who have large audiences
Yes.
who don't know what the they're talking about, but they're just desperate to start giving their political takes and opinions.
Okay.
Because, look, you do a massive disservice. You got this giant
Can I
audience.
hide his brain dead chat so I don't have to look at it, please. Here we go. We'll just double up the four goose.
Audience of people who
Yes.
follow you, and if you're out there
The disservice is disagreeing.
spreading false notions of
course.
politics, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. The best example of this is fucking Joe Rogan, who doesn't know his ass from his elbow.
True.
But he's out there. He was at the
Rogan's
inauguration. He gave
dipshit.
Trump a softball interview.
Yeah.
Gave JD Vance a softball interview.
Sucked them off nonstop for months.
Didn't give you an interview. I can see why you're mad.
Stone massages every billionaire.
Kyle Kulinski's been on Joe Rogan, I think. Actually, I'm almost positive. Yeah, he has. He was on Joe Rogan in 2024. Again, he's been on there multiple times. 1, 2, 3. 3 times? 4. He's been on there 4 times.
In the country on his show regularly. But then he'll go on his show and, so, who, me, bro? I'm just like a centrist. I'm like, I'm not right. I'm not left. I'm sort of above the fray and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's whatever. He tries to do this enlightened centrist bit.
You should get a MMA body doll and tape a picture of his face on it and start throwing spinning back kicks into it when he says brain dead shit. Asmongold or Joe Rogan, because that would be a lot of kicking, brother.
Meanwhile, he's like,
I thought this was about me. Let's get to the part about me.
on the Trump train, quite literally. So, he's a great example of it. But another one is Asmongold. Asmongold,
Okay.
he's been getting
All right.
more and more
It's
political. And I hear this. I just want to shove my nuts in a waffle iron when I hear this shit. Because, like, what are you saying? What are you saying? You know you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
You know,
He knows that. He's a grifter, though.
but he does it anyway. So here he is giving his theory
Okay, so here, all right, here we go. This is me talking. All right, let's find out.
about how, the Democrats,
Yes.
they've been so radicalized that the Republicans are, the poor put upon Republicans, they're just
my God.
reacting
His
to what the
chat's
insane
moving.
Democrats are doing. I'm not kidding. That's his actual argument. Let's watch.
This is I think it is a unique Democrat problem.
This is everything Asmongold says is fucking rage bait. He doesn't even mean anything he says. That's so cringe.
Now, when a Republican does something bad, here's the big difference, right?
Because this clip, there's no way he's this stupid. I know that it's impossible.
It's not that Republicans don't do anything bad, but when a Republican does something bad, everybody generally says, oh, okay, that's really bad. But the problem is that Democrats look to try to...
When a Republican does something bad, everyone generally says it's bad. Donald Trump is operating a shitcoin. Hello? Baron Trump is like blatantly insider trading and making hundreds of millions of dollars in Ethereum because he knows what his dad's gonna do the day before it happens. Like, hello? Everyone thinks that it's bad because I don't hear Republicans ever talking about any of this shit. Most Republicans won't even admit that January 6th was a bad thing.
Well, like, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter that much. Who cares?
Oh, he mad.
Now do you understand why I said
You know what?
See, it's just rage bait. It's so cringe.
made me want to shove my nuts in a waffle iron?
Great argument. You know what? I never saw it this way whenever I said it, but now that you say that you want to put your dick in a waffle iron, I completely agree with you. I actually was wrong.
Okay. You see, also notice how he doesn't ever actually respond to points. He responds to stupid bullshit, like random phrases.
Totally wrong.
Homie literally said,
Yes.
when a Republican does something bad, other Republicans could be like, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, that never happens.
I think true. I think it's more true than for Democrats. I'm sure there's
That's absolutely not true.
exceptions, but I think it's generally true.
That might actually be the least true thing I've ever heard in my life. That
Yep, it literally is.
is somehow the most false thing I've ever heard in my
So the argument is no. Got it.
entire
Well, he's about to give the argument, you fucking moron.
life.
Okay.
Asmongold, bro.
Great argument.
Let me just tell. Let's
He's still talking.
just go with Elon Musk. What did
Okay.
Elon do when he was running Doge? You guys all know this. How many times have I given you the list?
All right.
He cut pediatric cancer research. Not a single Republican came out. Not a single fucking Republican came out and criticized him for cutting child cancer research.
Has it ever
Well, because Republicans hate children. They own it. They hate children. They don't want children to have free lunches either.
occurred to you that maybe the research was done in a way that was bad? Like,
This is just like a total red herring. Like, I guarantee you, Asmongold knows absolutely nothing about the research. Like, he's just throwing shit out there.
Every time that people say something like this, the implication is that, oh, they're curing cancer or something like that. This is bullshit. Yeah. And also on top of that, yeah, just because you're doing research doesn't mean that it's a good allocation of government money. What if the research that you're doing is problematic? What if the research is not funded properly?
Pediatric cancer research?
What if you're getting too much money? There are all of these questions. It's like basically doing cancer research is not an immediate and infinite get out of jail free card from any degree of accountability and any amount of government.
Okay, but what's the reason? Like, what made that research bad? Is he going to explain that? Because that would be like the actual pertinent point here. But he's not going to, right? Because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
An oversight. What a crazy thing to say.
He's just like fucking. That's kind of a valid point, but he's never going to be able to articulate that. What's kind of a valid point? What he's saying is true, but my point is that he's saying this to deflect from what Kyle Kulinski is saying. He's not saying this as a genuine counter argument. He's saying something that's like technically true, but like essentially irrelevant because he's just throwing it out there. Like, have you ever considered that maybe the research was being done in a bad way? Okay, well, you would need something to base that off of. Like, yeah, that's a possibility for sure, but you would have to actually justify that. You would cite Tuskegee and leave it at that. Yeah, probably, if he even knows what that is.
Oh, but it's for cancer kids. Okay, great emotional argument. We love that. It's
not an emotional argument, and he's giving the emotional argument because he's not actually giving any facts. He's just saying, oh, well, it's possible that that the research was bad. Okay. And it's also possible that aliens come down and eat your children. Like, what? Like, anything is possible. So
optics? Yeah, it's just optics. It's just the way that it sounds. Because the idea of, oh my God, he's cutting research for cancer kids. Oh no, that sounds bad.
Yeah, but I bet every time Trump wheels out one of those disabled kids who have been brainwashed into being a hardcore Trump supporter, even though they're 8 years old because their parents are Trump supporters, I bet he fucking soys out at that shit every single time.
By the way, there was one of those things was literally a cure that worked.
Oh, okay. So we had a...
They don't eat them. They just probe around in their asses. Wait, my bad. That was U.S. senators. I think U.S. senators just do that voluntarily, to each other or whoever they can, whoever's nearby on Grindr.
Let's get this straight. We had a cure for cancer. We almost had it, but Donald Trump...
I need to hear what Kyle Kulinski said because I know there's no way he's actually honestly responding to what he said.
By the way, there was one of those things was literally a cure that worked.
Oh.
A cure. I would need to, dude. Now do I need to sit here and research this? Fine, I'll do it because this fucking moron's not gonna do it. Elon Musk cuts pediatric cancer. Rolling Stone. As a result, the new stripped down funding bill proposed today is literally throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Will exclude $190 million for the bipartisan Give Kids a Chance program for child cancer research. Sam Stein of the Bulwark. Okay, I'm nervous about the Bulwark citation here. They're not the most reputable outlet, in my opinion. But, okay, he points out the new bill also excludes funding for research on premature labor, sickle cell disease treatment, early detection of breast and cervical cancer, the Rural Broadband Protection Act, and internet it's crazy. Okay, research on premature labor, sickle cell disease treatment, early detection of breast cancer and cervical cancer. Okay, these are all obviously good things to research. The Rural Broadband Protection Act. Why are we attacking protections for fucking broadband, which is already outdated, by the way, but apparently if you live in a rural area, that's not even safe. Your broadband connection. An anti-deepfake porn bill. Okay, it's just funny how every single issue they're on the wrong side of it. It's just funny every single time. AI porn is very slippery slope. Normal porn is already greasy as fuck. That's what I'm saying. Republicans shot down a bill that was designed to combat deep fakes. For what purpose? I don't know. Well, I do know. It's because Elon Musk is in DOGE. He was given his own fucking department because he bought the election, which is just blatant corruption, by the way. And he needed to find ways to make it look like he was saving the government money. So he just started cutting budget, to random shit. Also, the pediatric cancer provisions were among the many health programs cut when the spending bill was reduced from 1,500 pages to just 116, which Musk later gloated about on his platform X. Dude, I hate this stupid fucking, baby brained, position that, oh, a shorter bill is a better bill. Like, what is this? Like, where does this logic even come from? This is so stupid, where it's like, they want things to be short. Is it just because they don't like reading? I knew this fucking video would maul me, dude. I fucking knew it would. The Give the Kids a Chance Act, which would have authorized FDA to direct companies to newly approved cancer drugs. I wonder if this is what Kyle Kulinski was referring to. The science shows that a combination of cancer therapies are necessary to finding a cure. This must be what he was referring to, although the way he phrased it, I would say, is misleading. So I believe what Kyle Kulinski may be referring to when he said one of those things was literally a cure that worked. I don't know exactly what he was referring to. Maybe he'll expand on it. I mean, Asmongold paused and started sewing out about something. So, but what I'm seeing is that there's promising research in combinations of drugs, which that bill would have allowed, because single drug treatment is showing to be ineffective, but multi-drug treatment is showing to be more effective in combating pediatric cancer. Maybe that's what he's referring to. Maybe he'll explain once this fucking moron is done yapping.
Oh, okay. So we had a cure. Let's get this straight. We had a cure for cancer. We almost had it, but Donald Trump and Elon Musk turned it off.
Well, okay, this is so stupid. You would think you would understand this, considering his dad just died of cancer a couple months ago. But like, we cure cancer all the time. There are plenty of people who had cancer who don't have it anymore. Not all cancers are the same. Not all cancer treatments or drugs are the same. And not all of them have the same level of success being treated. But like, there's plenty, like, when you say cure for cancer, that doesn't really mean anything, because which cancer are you talking about? And what do you mean by cure?
Okay, sure.
I'm not kidding. It was a gene editing thing that they used to stop
editing. Okay. Gene editing cancer treatment shot down by Elon Musk. Well, the specific bill focused on expanding treatment access and general research funding. I mean, I'm reading the AI synopsis, so I don't know how correct this is. The broader cuts to the NIH have impacted ongoing research that uses advanced technologies like gene editing. Research at institutions like the University of Wisconsin uses CRISPR gene editing technology to develop treatments for hereditary blindness and other conditions which could face setbacks to the funding. A federal judge has since temporarily blocked some of the proposed NIH funding cuts. So my guess is that the NIH had some funding cut that was directed towards a gene editing program that was showing promise, is what he's saying. That's what I'm getting from this. Speaking of gene editing, did you see Japan control alt-deleted Down syndrome with CRISPR? Did they actually? CRISPR is crazy. What have I seen that used for? I think I watched a big video on this not that long ago.
Editing thing that they used to stop leukemia. They tried it on somebody.
Yes.
It worked. He cut the fucking funding.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Gene editing, it worked for leukemia, at least in one case, in an experimental case. And Elon Musk cut the funding. What is Asmongold gonna say in response to this?
So it worked on one person.
Holy shit, dude. He's actually fucking brain dead. Oh my god. This is crazy. This dude is a fucking idiot. So it worked on one person. Well, yeah, because it's new technology, you fucking like, what? Yeah, it hasn't been mass deployed because it needed more research to become a legal treatment, and the funding for it was cut. So yeah, there haven't been a bunch of people who it's been used on. Like, what a fucking idiot, dude. I actually hate this fucking moron.
Which, again, I'm not even sure whether this is true. I don't have that. I don't have it in front of me. I don't remember this happening at all.
I don't have it in front of me. This dude has nothing in front of him except for his fucking far-right Twitter algorithm.
But, like, okay, so we have one person it happened on. Leukemia is cancer? Yeah, it's blood cancer.
National Weather Service, which literally led to deaths. It led to deaths. There was a late warning that went out because he cut the National Weather Service, and you have these kids at a Christian sleepaway camp who died.
True. Literally, what he's saying is accurate. What he's saying is correct. It's actually even stupider than this, but the National Weather Service was cut, which led to those kids drowning in Texas. And also, Joe Biden provided FEMA aid to those areas to build a siren system, in the case of flash floods. And they didn't build it because of a conspiracy theory where the people in that town believed that if they used the FEMA funding Joe Biden provided them, he was going to take their homes away from them. A completely baseless conspiracy theory that made no sense in the first place. So 2 layers of right-wing retaliation is what led to those kids drowning in Texas.
A late warning that went out.
Well saved in my book. I mean, they were Christian, so maybe.
because he cut the National Weather Service, and you have these kids at a Christian sleepaway camp who died. He cut.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I live in Texas.
We can tell.
Meteorologists say the National Weather
Red state education at work here.
Service did its job in Texas. DOGE cut hundreds of jobs at the NWS, but experts who spoke to Wired says the agency accurately predicted the state's weekend flood risk.
What did this say? Meteorologists say the National Weather Service did its job. Okay, they accurately predicted it. What does that have to do with actually like preventing what happened from happening though?
As the agency accurately predicted the state's weekend flood risk. These are meteorologists. If you
then what happened? Why did they die?
don't know, that's a weather wizard. Those are people that understand the weather. Okay, what would you look at that?
If they were Christian, why didn't God warn them of the flood? Isn't that a thing he does? I guess they weren't praying hard enough. You know, that reminds me of
about my tweet regarding yesterday's shooting.
There was a school shooting at a Christian school. David Packman tweeted, very surprising that there would be a mass shooting at a Christian school, given that lack of prayer is often blamed for these horrible events. Is it possible they weren't praying enough or correctly despite being a Christian school? People lost their fucking minds about this. People actually lost their shit. I love the wording. It just cracks me up because he's normally like a very button-up professional guy. He said, is it possible that they weren't praying enough or correctly? Oh, man.
Would you look at that? Sounds like some specific, and this is the thing, right? You give a specific example, and it falls apart.
Meals on Wheels.
Right.
He cut the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is the anti-scam police. No.
You hear that? You hear that, by the way?
You give a specific example.
He didn't even debunk what Kyle Kulinski just said about the National Weather Service, like at all. He says, you give a single example, and it falls apart.
And it falls apart.
Now listen.
Meals on Wheels.
Right.
He cut the Consumer.
He gives another example. Asmongold just says, I don't know about that. So, and nothing else. This dude's a fucking retard.
Financial Protection Bureau, which is the anti-scam police. No.
Good. They weren't doing their job. They obviously had no fucking idea what they were doing. Or the scams have been through the fucking roof.
I wonder why that is.
So yeah, wow. Well, let me get this straight. Okay. So there's a bureau of people that are supposed to stop scams, and you want to keep them on payroll? They suck.
Republicans criticize.
The president is running a scam coin. The culture of scamming is deeply embedded in the Republican Party. Like, what? There's no fucking way I can make it through this whole thing, dude. I'm gonna kill myself.
Any of these things. None of them. He fired 83,000 veterans.
I can't do a Tucker Carlson impression. I could do Jordan Peterson or Donald Trump.
Nobody criticized it.
Oh, no.
Those are the easy ones.
Oh no, you can't fire veterans anymore. Didn't you know that? We're not allowed to fire veterans. Another emotional appeal.
Okay, but you didn't combat any. It's true that it's not inherently a bad thing to fire a veteran, but like you don't. He's not combating like the content of any of it. He's just fucking. I don't know about that emotional appeal. I don't know about that.
He fired 250,000 government workers overall. Nobody fucking criticized.
Good. It should have been more.
It when he cut USAID, cutting off malaria medication from
Why should it have been more?
going to people who need it. HIV medication.
Oh no, that's right. It's America's responsibility to pay for people that have HIV and AIDS in Africa. That's right. Oh,
Not their responsibility. It's humanitarian aid. You fucking retard.
People have been dying in droves.
is he specifying in America or not? No, he's not. It's because it's not happening in America. He's right that USAID was funding the lives of a number of people outside of America. This is absolutely true. And that's why a lot of people voted to get rid of it. It's because
I wonder if he ever pauses and thinks to himself like, I wonder why America is so influential around the world, everywhere, across the globe. I wonder why America controls all the shipping routes. I wonder why America historically has had the best trade deals in every single continent on the planet. I wonder why America controls everything. Does he think it just happened magically? Or does he ever stop and pause and think maybe like America influencing things around the world is why America is so powerful? Like, do you think he ever pauses for 1 second to consider that? Because America fucks people shit up on the reg if they don't comply. That is true. They do that. We do that, rather. That does happen, but also we also forge a positive perception of America in a lot of these places. Like Africa, many of these African countries have a very positive outlook on the United States because the United States provides them foreign aid, which is beneficial. We are RoboCop. I would just say that America has been very effective historically, sometimes in very immoral ways, absolutely, especially in places like South America. But America has been very effective in its strategy, in its geopolitical strategy over the last century. There's a reason why America is a hegemonic power. You know, it didn't just happen out of nowhere. It didn't fall out of the sky. It did help that all of Europe during World War II decided it was going to rip itself to shreds. That definitely gave us a leg up from across the pond. And America's done a lot of really horrible things around the world, but it's also done a lot of really, really, really good things. So to just pretend that all foreign influence is negative or that it all needs to just end and we just need to be completely isolationist is brain damage.
Here that don't have housing. And so why is it that we are allocating money and resources to stopping HIV and AIDS in countries that are not our own, but we're not able to keep houses? You want to talk about veterans? Why are there any homeless veterans? Where is the priority list?
Well, what do you mean, Asmongold? Because 2 minutes ago you were just defending cutting cancer research for American children. So I don't think you actually give a fuck about spending money on Americans. I think you'll just glaze whatever Donald Trump and Elon Musk do because you're their cockwarmer.
That a veteran ever gets outranked by a person in Africa.
What about a child with cancer, Asmongold? Where do they rank on your list? Or was a homeless veteran? Is that an emotional appeal that you were just talking about 1 minute ago? Is that what we're doing now?
That's not the place that I'd want to live in. I'll tell you that. That's crazy to me.
You fucking criticize it?
Of course, because I agree with it.
You don't agree with anything. You're just a grifting piece of shit.
I agree with it. Good call. W.
Your minds, and that's
You
just
agree with your bank account balance going up.
and that's just Elon. I didn't even mention Trump.
Which, by the way, and also all of these examples here that he's given are policy decisions and not actual violence. I was discussing things like Charlie Kirk and Jay Jones in the clip. And so
The only place Asmon wants to live is his mom's attic. Yeah, I'm pretty sure her corpse is still fused to the couch downstairs too.
he's misinterpreted what I've said, and he's even making an argument that doesn't even make sense in the context of what I said. So not
You
only
haven't said anything. You just said a bunch of nonsense, like retard nonsense.
did you get the argument wrong, but to the extent that you're making your other argument, that one's also wrong.
Trump has been bombing random dingy fishing boats with innocent people in them.
How do you know that?
How do you know they're guilty? Don't you usually want to figure out if someone's guilty before you bomb them?
You really think, what about the submarine?
Innocent until proven guilty, actually. So Kyle Kulinski's correct here too, because they haven't been given due process for any crime. They haven't been found guilty of anything. We're just fucking dropping missiles on people in boats. And then Trump goes and says they're drug dealers. We don't know that. He doesn't know that. And they haven't been tried for any crime. So like Kyle Kulinski is correct. Innocent until proven guilty. They are innocent people. How do you know they're guilty? Wouldn't the onus be on you to know if they're guilty? If your decision, like your preferred outcome here is we fucking kill people with missiles, I feel like the onus is on you to prove that that's justified. It's not on Kyle Kulinski to prove that they didn't do anything wrong. It's innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around, you fucking moron.
Was that a fishing submarine too?
We don't know what it was, you fucking moron.
Do you really think that they're blowing up? Really think that they're fishing boats?
We don't know what they are. Are you asking if I think if the Trump administration would blow up random migrants for like a win within their own party? Yes, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Of course they would.
This is an innocent fishing submarine. Don't you guys have those?
It's possible.
With 4 motors on them.
I don't know about fishing.
And by the way, so let me get this straight.
Are
so
fishing
the US
submarines even a
government can
thing
read
that
a
exists?
license plate with a satellite from outer space, but
Yes,
you think that
yes, but the U.S. government is staffed by a band of incompetent freaks and geeks. So
at a Twitter post that said that the people were
the
innocent.
U.S. government can read a license plate from a satellite, but they couldn't catch the guy who shot Charlie Kirk in broad daylight with thousands of people around for days until he turned himself in. So, like, what do you mean?
Is more accurate than that. Sure.
And nobody on the right has been criticizing it at all.
Because
He asked if he should nuke Hurricane Harvey. Of course, he would kill immigrants. Yeah, exactly. Like he would do. He would do anything that he thinks would give him a win with his base.
they agree with it, because it's the right thing to do.
I think he would try. I don't know if he would actually be able to do it because I know the president has like the ability to launch nukes, but I'm pretty sure chain of command can break if it's not justified or if it's not like a last resort situation. So I don't know if he actually can fire nukes, but I think if he thought it would like raise his numbers with his base, I think he would consider it for sure, maybe do it.
It is. Absolutely. Blow up the boats without even a question. How could you be against that?
Because we don't know who the people are or if they did anything wrong at all. This is like saying like, yeah, just fucking blow up random suburban housing development blocks. How can you be against that? Like there's no basis to do it. So being against it would be the default position.
I mean, these are people that are trying to bring drugs to our country that are going to kill our people.
You don't know that. You have no clue. Just like you said 2 seconds ago, how do you know they're innocent? You have no fucking idea. Even so, that person could always say no anyways. That happened to Russia during the Cold War. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I know the story you're talking about. It's the guy who the alarms went off that said like nuclear or like ICBM strike imminent. But he was like, oh, it must be a false alarm because he only saw like 1 or 2 missiles, and he was like, yeah, he fucking Einstein brain, and he was like, bro, if the United States was gonna nuke us, they'd send thousands of missiles, not 1 or 2. He was like, oh, it must be fake.
If I saw somebody running at my house with a bomb, I would want to shoot them before they got to my house.
But you didn't see that. You saw a person walking their dog on the street, and you fucking shot them from your fucking 2nd story window. And you're saying, how can you be against that? It's nonsense.
I wouldn't want to try to apprehend them, arrest them, and try to put them through a whole process. No, you just fucking shoot them. And he'd do the same thing.
Yeah, this is just like, this is brain damage. People who listen to this and actually like just take this at face value are like words that I can't say. They are lower intelligence beings. They're like chickens, you know?
They've all been lying
They
and
can like move their bodies around and stuff.
pretending these are narco-terrorists and Trump
They're lying. Okay, where's the argument that
is
they're...
killing the right people and stuff. This is insane. This is insane.
It's insane. Okay, well, that's a good argument for why they're not narco-terrorists.
What is the argument for them actually being that? Donald Trump's word? I'm going to need more than that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure the fishing submarine, it was just a bunch of, you know, like...
Why are we making assumptions when we're bombing people? That's pretty fucking retarded, man.
Poor innocent Venezuelans who were just trying to get by, and they only had enough money to cobble together for 1 submarine. And you know what they say, right? You got to fish where the fish are. And so they had to go underwater to get the fish.
Even if they...
He has this thing he does where he's able to come up with these like non-response like quips that probably make him sound intelligent to his audience, but like are not actually addressing the point at all.
They were.
Okay. So even if they were, right? Okay. So now we've already shifted.
Even if they were, yeah. Even if they were, yeah, due process is a thing, you fucking idiot.
We've already shifted from, no, there's no way this is the case. But if it was the case, okay, here we go.
Trafficking narcotics.
If you're able to track the submarine, why wouldn't you just intercept it, you know, at the border? Like, why do you need to strike it? It's clearly like a show. It's like a strongman thing that like authoritarian. It's like authoritarian shit. They're just trying to like flex their muscles and appear like strong, tough on crime, tough on crime, tough on crime.
The penalty is not instant death. Are you?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's not.
And if it's not, it should be.
That's retarded.
How about that?
Yeah, this is just like...
Are you ridiculous? Oh my...
Yeah, why not? Really, why not? Who gonna stop us? Yeah, exactly.
Instant death, no trial. Yeah, man, that really sounds like a democratic, you know, society that doesn't infringe on human rights. True, Asmongold. True.
My God, we're only 24 seconds into a 2-minute.
So if someone might be a drug dealer, they should be immediately killed on the spot. If they maybe are, if there's like a chance they are, that seems pretty cooked, man.
Clip. I don't know if I can fucking get through this.
I'm only 3 minutes into his clip. I don't know if I can get through this either.
I don't know if I might like fucking have an aneurysm on air.
Like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter that much. Who cares? And I think that has radicalized a lot of people. And I'll view that, and we can contrast this now with, do you remember whenever they had all those text message leaks and it was all those young Republican people talking about how much they like Hitler? And nobody really cared about that anymore. And the reason why, it's because left-wing people have established basically a standard, and now right-wing people are living up to it.
He flipped the truth exactly on its head.
Okay.
This is insane. It's been the exact opposite. My entire adult life, it's been the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, are you referring to what I was saying about instant murder for someone if they might be a drug dealer? Yeah, because what happens is if you're saying, okay, if you're going to give like an extreme punishment for one crime, then you're removing the incentive for someone to not commit an even more extreme crime like murder, right? So if someone's like, oh, they put drug dealers to death, well, then if I'm a drug dealer, I might as well fucking light some motherfuckers up. I might as well just kill indiscriminately if I see it as some benefit to myself, because there's no incentive not to do it, because either way it's the same fucking punishment, right?
That anymore. And the reason why, it's because left-wing people have established basically a standard, and now right-wing people are living up to it.
He flipped the truth exactly on its head.
Okay.
This is insane. It's been the exact opposite. My entire adult life, it's been the opposite. There was literally a slogan that the Democrats had about how much we're pussies.
True, because Democrats are constantly saying don't sink to their level. We should. Fuck it. Asmongold deserves life in prison. Asmongold is a drug dealer. Whatever Asmongold is selling here is killing more brain cells in this country than any drug could ever dream of killing. So maybe this guy is the person that needs to be, you know, life in prison or capital punishment or whatever.
Obama came out and said, when they go low, we go high. That dominated a generation of Democratic thought.
Then why'd you guys burn down all the stuff in BLM? Why'd you burn?
You guys, random fucking nobodies on the street? What do you mean, you guys? I didn't see Joe Biden or Kamala Harris out there telling people to go riot in the street. What I saw was Donald Trump telling a rally of his supporters outside the Capitol to march to the Capitol and give them hell, word for word.
Burn down the Teslas. That doesn't sound like good.
Well, the issue is people were murking people they didn't like and claim they were cartel members. Oh, yeah? You know, when you start introducing capital punishment for excessively, it probably just is bad for society at large.
Going high, maybe getting high, but not going high. So because Michelle Obama said something, now everything that Democrats do is automatically good.
To be fair, a lot of the people who were rioting in 2020 are leftists who probably would not even consider themselves Democrats. But even so, this is a fallacious way of thinking that people on the right often do, where they will look at the behavior of a Republican politician and they will equate it to the behavior of a random person like Antifa. But it's like, shouldn't the standards be higher for, you know, a politician or a prominent media figure than for a random fucking nobody on the street who wants to loot a Target? Like, shouldn't we be holding these people to different standards in terms of like what we expect from them?
Why didn't I think of that?
They go low, we go high.
Yeah.
And then what happened? The Republicans decided to shatter the filibuster record under Obama. Obama literally came out and said, I'm going to propose your ideas, Republicans. I'm going to do the things you say you love. I'm going to do a health care plan that came from the Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank, and Mitt Romney, the Republican, did it in Massachusetts as the governor. I'm going to do your plan. And Republicans had previously all supported this plan.
I think the Republicans treated Obama too harshly, too. Honestly, I generally agree with this. I think the Republicans, like, they stopped them from appointing Merrick Garland as Supreme Court Justice, which I think Obama did have the purview to do. And throughout his entire tenure as being president, that did happen. Like, I mean, he's right about this. Yeah, absolutely.
Obama proposed it. We're against it. We're against it. How dare you?
I think the ACA was bullshit. And I think that the best way to tell that the ACA was bullshit is that all of these different insurance companies had their fucking stock go way up after it got passed.
Why? Why did that happen? You fucking idiot. Because the ACA was a collaborative effort. Obama tried so hard to be bipartisan and work with Republicans on the ACA, and they all still voted against it.
The Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare, was the main thing that Obamacare was caring for were the insurance companies and private.
Yeah, because of the Republican influence in the bill. Obama wanted a public option. That was like the initial goal, and it got neutered. Like, this is a total rewriting of history, dude.
Private healthcare companies.
I don't know if I can. I'm only 14 minutes in. I feel like I've been reacting to this for 2 hours.
It was mandatory welfare for those companies. It was a joke. Now, the Republicans didn't want what I want, which is universal health care. They don't want that. However,
this guy's a fucking wow goblin. I don't understand why people think he's some political figure, because he has 4 million subscribers on YouTube and he dominates the YouTube algorithm. So, and he panders. He panders super, super hard. People love someone who panders. But also, yeah, you want universal healthcare. Do you think Barack Obama didn't want universal healthcare? Why do you think the ACA was the way it was? Because it was not feasible for him to pass universal healthcare into law. If he could have unilaterally done that, he would have. But Republicans fought tooth and nail against everything that was proposed in those bills. They lied constantly about what was in those bills. They came up with fake talking points like death panels, a thing that just wasn't real, by the way, that dominated Republican discourse around the ACA. Death panels were never a proposed thing. And at any point ever, it was a completely fabricated thing that I think Sarah Palin came up with. Like, but he blew up off WoW. I just don't get it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why people think I know why. It's because he's not giving like opinions here. He's actually doing what Hassan does, like almost to a T, where he is giving takes, but the takes are crafted not around his belief system or whatever, but around what his audience wants to hear, you know? He's a grifter. So he's just pandering. And pandering is like the best way to, pop off because people want to hear what they want to hear. Tomorrow, I could just start being a hardcore Asmongold glazer and I would get a bunch of fucking like residual fanboys, but I would kill myself if I had to stoop to such a level. So
what again, what Obama did wasn't good either.
It's communist.
It wasn't what Obama did. Obama did everything he could when it came to healthcare. He was just it was a losing battle, and he still got the ACA passed somehow.
For us to do the healthcare plan that we came up with. This is who we're dealing with.
Okay.
They broke the filibuster record.
Sure.
They fucking instantly rejected their own ideas. Yep. Obama would do things like cut small business taxes, and they would attack him for it, even though, again, that's their ideas. You want to talk?
Yeah, but you have to factor in, Kyle. You have to remember that Barack Obama was black. So, of course, they would oppose his ideas. But, duh. What else are they going to do? Support him? His name was Barack Hussein Obama. You think they were going to get behind his ideas? He could literally go out there and say, we need fucking... It's we need prayer in schools. We need, we need to ban gay marriage federally. He could have done all these pandering right-wing issues. They would have opposed them. They would have been woke overnight.
Talk about radicalized. 100% is the exact opposite.
The fact that Obamacare even happened is insane, even though it was horribly handled. Yeah, I agree. It's actually a miracle because not only was Obama dealing with the Republicans and Mitch McConnell, and at the time they had a majority, which was the only reason why it was even possible in the first place. But he was also fighting centrist Democrats who were his own party was calling the ACA socialism. The ACA is not even remotely close to social. In any capacity. So the fact that it got passed, the reason why it got passed is because it got so heavily neutered. I don't know, I should look more into, if insurance companies were heavily lobbying politicians at that time. I don't know. Obviously, Citizens United was already a thing at that time. I'm not sure. I would have to look into the individual arguments and the motivations for them. But the fact that that they were able to pass something that got, tens of millions of new people on affordable healthcare plans, and the Republicans tried for a decade to repeal Obamacare and failed every time. It's just insane. It's insane that we still have it.
Democrats and liberals and leftists have been
no, for sure. People were negative about Obama. Yeah, definitely. I think that was stupid. It was stupid then. It's still stupid.
radicalized.
Sure.
Also, there's this thing he does. Oh, there should be a name for this. He will give these takes to appear centrist or balanced, but they're it's only takes where it doesn't fucking matter, right? No one's gonna give a shit if he's saying Republicans were too mean to Obama 20 years ago, or whatever, 15 years ago. He gives these centrist takes, but it's always the most non-impactful takes. Does that make sense? It's never actually oh, I'll bite the bullet on something that actually is going to get me heat from my own audience or from the right. It's only shit that no one cares about, where he'll give these centrist or left-leaning takes. And it gives him this false appearance of being balanced or a centrist. I thought Trump got rid of it. No, he tried. John McCain, before he died, was the deciding vote, unless you're talking about very recently. So what happened, if you're talking about what they just shut down the government over, is that what you're referring to? With that, what it is it's there were subsidies for Obamacare that would keep premiums down, where I think the worst one I heard was Utah, where like a $500 plan without these subsidies is going to go up to like $4,000 a month, which obviously is not affordable for the people who are using Obamacare. Right, which effectively kills it in a lot of states. It depends on the state as well. Some states have better protections for it, mostly blue states for obvious reasons.
By Republicans being so fucking insane. Trump tried to coup the government. Trump lost an election to Joe Biden, and then he did fake elector slates,
Yep.
which was illegal.
The fake elector thing, I should make like a fucking documentary about it or something. Because in my opinion, the fake elector scheme that Trump did is the worst thing a president has ever done in the history of the United States. Not even close, honestly. Worse than January 6th, worse than anything. I would say that the false electors scheme in 2020 was easily the worst, the most corrupt and reprehensible thing a president has ever done, for sure, I would say as an individual action, maybe you could say like the Iraq war as a total thing was like in total worse. But also that was like as an individual like action or scheme or whatever the fuck, I would say the false elector scheme was the worst thing a president's ever done. I love how McCain never stopped calling it another fucking censor bar for later. He fucking hated them. He sure did. I mean, would you not? He couldn't lift his arms above his shoulders because of the torture that he underwent after he was in a plane crash. So, it wasn't right for him to feel that way, but it was understandable.
By the way, but he fucking got away with it.
Yes.
Then they had January 6th, the violence at January 6th. Even after the violence, Trump was still making phone calls saying, don't certify Joe Biden.
And this is the difference between, I think, a lot of liberals and
This is just going to be a rage bait statement. I can already tell he's like in his head, he's like cooking up, like, what's the most retarded thing I can say here? Like, what is the most brain dead bullshit I could possibly say here? And like, normally this wouldn't like bother anybody. Like, oh, someone's saying stupid shit. Who cares, right? But the problem is that his audience will all take him at face value and think what he's saying is based. That's what's fucking horrifying. That's what's so fucking scary about it.
people like me. Like leftists like this will bend over backwards to justify why it was actually a good thing that we spent an entire year
Call that righteous racism? Would you call it classy?
burning down auto zones, looting 7
Oh no, the auto zones. So you see he's doing it again, the thing where he's equating random people to the fucking president and acting like these are the same thing when the president sent people, fake electors, to Congress to try and falsely certify states as victories for Donald Trump when he lost those states. Literally trying to steal an election, by the way, the thing he relentlessly accused the Democrats of doing in 2020, or him sending a mob of people to invade the Capitol. Like, he's equating this to random moron in like Portland, like breaking the windows of a Target. I know that some destruction definitely happened for sure, a lot, but this is not comparable because can you tell me which Democratic leader was encouraging this behavior from random people on the street? These were opportunists on the street. The people who broke into the Capitol were diehard Trump supporters and Proud Boys, literal like white supremacist militia members who were operating essentially at the behest of the president to overthrow an election. This is not comparable to random opportunists looting and random losers who want to destroy stores on the street because there's a protest or a riot happening. These are not comparable, obviously. If you have a triple digit IQ, you already understand that.
7-Elevens and destroying every city during BLM. They'll bend over backwards justifying why it's actually
Destroying every city, huh?
a good thing that you're destroying Teslas, or why it's a good thing that
No, those are bad things. It's also like, yeah, those are bad things. You shouldn't do that. But I don't see Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Zoran Mamdani or fucking Pete Buttigieg or Bernie Sanders. I don't see any of these people, or Barack Obama. I don't see any of these people encouraging people to burn Teslas. I saw Donald Trump encourage people to break into the Capitol. I saw Donald Trump direct a scheme to try to steal an election with false electors. These are not comparable in any sense.
you had people that were
My shit is room temp. I enjoy being half retarded. You know, fair enough.
like Jay Jones, who's not tweeting.
Like these people that watch this guy unironically are actually like, so like I can't say that word. Expandable. They are Down syndrome. Well, Pence shouldn't have been snitching. Maybe then the Capitol wouldn't get stormed. True, dude. Pence should have went along with the fucking, he should have refused to certify the election, dude. He should have bent over for Donald Trump like everyone does now in the government. True.
Sorry, having conversations, fantasizing about killing people he's running against politically, right? The difference between, like, I think that myself and people like him is that
Wait, is he, I'm gonna fucking snap. I'm only 6. Remember when I said I'm only 14 minutes in? You remember when I said that 30 minutes ago? And now I'm 16 minutes in? This is an 8-hour react.
I can easily say January 6th was a bad thing. Like, the problem is that,
Yeah, and I can easily say that burning Teslas is a bad thing. Which one of these two things, burning Teslas or January 6th, was directed by a sitting president in the United States? Which one? They both happened under Donald Trump, to be clear. So which one was directed by a sitting president of the United States?
is bad. Like, the problem is that in a lot of cases, people like Kyle are unwilling to cede any ground or to look at anything objectively. They see everything through the lens of
This is actually good content. This is why I like reacting to Asmongold, because he fucking irritates me and I get passionate.
what their side wants. And they're not looking at it in any sort of an objective or realistic way. Obviously, January 6th
It's
was bad.
insanely painful to get through all of these like actual like dead brain takes, of course, right? These like sinister, evil, or just straight up like brain damage takes. But it makes for better content.
Now, I think that it was very clearly misrepresented. And if you don't think so, then, you know, maybe the BBC should hire you as a lawyer because they admitted that it was misrepresented and apologized for it.
Are you saying it was overblown? Because I think it was massively underblown. Like when Donald Trump was sucking Bill Clinton's cock. Underblown.
Because they admitted that it was misrepresented and apologized for it. So very clearly it was misrepresented. But even in its best representation, it was still bad. That happened with Tesla bombings. I don't see that happen with Jay Jones. How about that? Very interesting.
He was asking politicians not to certify Joe Biden.
Yes.
That's insane. That is insane. And so they do the extreme shit. They do the crazy shit.
To be fair, this was after 4 years of them trying to delegitimize Trump's presidency by him being connected to Russia. This happened even before he became president, that they were trying to delegitimize him.
He was connected to Russia. Several members of his campaign team literally went to prison for colluding with Russia. So implying he was connected to Russia, his campaign directly was colluding with Russia during the election. That's just a fact.
So I don't think that 2020, the election there, I don't think that was the culmination of election denial. I think that it started with Donald Trump. Now, in, I'd say 2012, like when was the last election? I guess 2000 was a little bit uncertain because of the hanging Chad thing with like Gore and Bush. But overall, before that, I mean, I feel like most elections, people pretty much accepted them. But I would say that even with denying the election, there was, remember the hashtag not my president, where people were saying that, oh, he's just, you know, got elected because of Russia. So really, I mean,
I don't think he got elected just because of Russia, but he absolutely, his campaign staff, if you want to say Donald Trump wasn't, I mean, like, sure, there's no proof that he was. I mean, like, that probably was by design. But Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, these people went to prison for colluding with Russia during his 2016 campaign.
while I do say that January 6th was a bad thing, I don't think that, again, Republicans did not invent election denial. I think that Democrats at that point had spent 4 years doing it with Donald Trump to begin with. And
It's delusional. No one claimed that Donald Trump didn't win in 2016. Like, this is just not true. People claimed that he colluded with a foreign state to dig up dirt on his political opponent, which he did again. And you can listen to the phone call where he calls Volodymyr Zelensky in 2020, I think, or 2019, and he tries to dig up dirt on Joe Biden by withholding foreign aid to Ukraine, and this was before they were invaded, by withholding foreign aid to Ukraine unless Zelensky provided him with dirt on Hunter Biden, which is insane. He got impeached for this.
it turned out that all that, by the way, was bullshit.
Dems claim there was voter fraud against Gore. I don't know if they claim there was voter fraud. I think my understanding of the 2000 election was that the county was within like a couple thousand votes, some Florida county, and it was going to end up being like a deciding factor in the election. And they were doing recounts, and every single recount, it was getting closer and closer and closer and Bush's lead in that county, which was already only a couple thousand votes, was shrinking and shrinking with every recount. And then the Supreme Court came in and said, we're done counting, stop the count. That was my understanding of that situation. People thought it was bullshit that the Republican Supreme Court came in and said the Republican wins, we're done counting now. If you think that's still the same thing, then maybe. But I wouldn't call that election fraud. Maybe like the Supreme Court putting their thumb on the scale when they shouldn't be. Collusion, yeah, maybe. I don't know what would have happened in that election. The reality is that God, what was the other guy's name? What was the third party candidate's name? That dude is what cost Al Gore the election. I don't know if we would have ended global warming, but we'd probably be in a better spot, frankly. Instead of a plan to tackle global warming, we got fucking the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. So everyone would have taken it super serial. True. What was the other guy's fucking name? Buchanan, I think. No, wait, no, that's wrong. Lieberman, that's who it was. This piece of shit. Oh, he died last year. This dude got over 100,000 votes in Florida. Every single one. This was like the far left candidate, and he ran third party because he didn't win the nomination over Al Gore, and he got over 100,000 votes in Florida. And if he had not ran, almost all of those people would have voted for Al Gore. But because he ran, he was a spoiler candidate, so he cost Al Gore the election essentially. By running as a third-party candidate. So fucking stupid. Where's the fucking meme picture? This is where we'd be living right now if Lieberman didn't fucking run third party.
He will not divide us. Yep, there it is.
But somehow, we're the problem?
Really weird how he's celebrating ACA while also celebrating the assassination of a CEO who benefited the most from things like ACA. I don't know if he celebrated the Luigi stuff. I have no idea.
We're the ones
I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Kulinski celebrated that. But it was bad. It was stupid and pointless.
who never fucking criticize our own. Are you kidding me? How quickly do Democrats throw each other
What's funny is I've only ever voted third party. Might as well just not vote.
under the bus?
Not quickly enough with Jay Jones, for example, and that one just happened. Yeah, you can go back and find an example of something stupid that happened during Obama, but I can go back a week ago and find something stupid that you guys did. That's the problem.
Bro,
Remember
Donald Trump does 25 things a day that are worse than Watergate. Like what?
Al Franken? Al Franken was a senator. There was a picture that he
I
took
remember this.
where he was like fake grabbing somebody's titty while they were sleeping. That picture came out. He used to be a comedian, by the way.
That was
He
stupid
didn't
as
actually
fuck.
touch the woman,
The Al
but it was like
Franken
fake
shit.
grabbing the titty and like laughing at it and joking about it. He had to
Funny.
fucking resign
I don't
because
know.
other Democrats threw him immediately under the bus.
Censured.
Are you out of your minds? I keep saying minds. Are you out of your
Yeah.
mind? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. Nothing could be further from the truth. It was Donald Trump who came along, and he sort of
Yes.
defined this idea of be a bull in a china shop, never fucking apologize, always plow through.
He did apologize for the grab her by the pussy thing. He did apologize for that, but I don't think he meant it. But he did apologize.
And then eventually people just move on, and
It
you're
is
good.
true, unfortunately, that Donald Trump ushered in the era of never apologize, always double down. And now that's what everyone does. And it's going to cook us.
So he started
yeah.
that. We're just getting to the time now where Democrats are finally catching up.
I don't really think that's entirely true. I feel like Hillary Clinton said a number of bad things about Trump voters as well. Like, it's pretty common.
That's just starting to happen now. And thank fucking God it is. Because here's the deal. We can only have civility and decorum if both sides agree to civility and decorum. It's that simple. As soon as the Republicans go, fuck you, then we have to say fuck you back. It's like with the gerrymandering fight. By the way, Asmon, who's the one that gerrymandered first? It was Texas and the Republicans that said, we're just going to...
I swear to God, if Asmongold right now tries to make an argument that Democrats gerrymandered first before Texas, I will go to the store, buy a gun, and kill myself. Republicans, like 15 years ago, started gerrymandering everywhere. I will actually do it, too. I'll do it, Asmongold.
gerrymander and steal a bunch
Let's
of
talk about the recent one.
Democratic seats and turn them Republican.
Well, I mean, wait a minute. Stealing? Gerrymander is fundamentally fucking stealing, by the way. And both Democrats and Republicans do this.
Yeah, but Democrats are doing it in response, like across the board. It's not even arguable. They're piece like, oh, I'm gonna do it.
They've been doing this for fucking ever.
Greg Abbott did that because
Yeah.
Yes.
Trump told him to do that. And then
True, and he should have done it. And all the other Republican states should do it too.
There's a race to the bottom mentality. This is retarded.
to happen before fucking you had Newsom step up and say, all right, if you're going to do that, then we're going to counter
What I
gerrymandering.
don't understand is why Asmongold Whatever.
and
Yep.
are in
Who
California.
cares?
No,
Which, by the way, this is a shadow argument that he's fighting against. I never criticized Gavin Newsom for doing that. I never said that. Of course, I understand why he'd want to do that. Of course, you're going to want to consolidate power for your side. Obviously.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like this where people gerrymandering fundamentally disenfranchises voters. So no, it should not be like, yeah, of course you want to consolidate power for your side. Just be evil, bro. Hell yeah. I support that. Like, no one should be, Democrats shouldn't have to do it and Republicans shouldn't do it, but that's where we are. And so it's a prisoner's dilemma situation where if it's a zero-sum game, like Texas did it, right? So if the Democrats don't do it, they just flat lose. So that's why California did it.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I think that's fair.
It is fair, but it's
that's
bad.
and liberals and leftists
It's
respond.
bad that it's happening at all. It's bad that gerrymandering is happening at all because it's disenfranchising voters in Texas who are left-leaning, and it's disenfranchising voters in California who are right-leaning. So it's stupid that it's happening at all.
Responded in kind.
Yeah.
So he has it exactly wrong. He has it
That's not even what I'm saying.
exactly backwards. These motherfuckers are unhinged and out of control and radical, and because of that, we have been dragged into having to do the same to keep things even Stevens.
You're completely right. All of the Republican crash outs, all of the massive protests that Republicans are having, destroying, throwing bricks at people at ICE.
Well, do I even bother? Is it even worth it? If Joe Biden was sending around squads of heavily armed federal officers to black bag people on the street, to black bag Christians or white people, I'm pretty sure MAGA would be literally opening fire on them at every opportunity. They'd be hunting them. So I think the fact that this is happening is not a reflection of the Democratic Party, but rather a reflection of the poor leadership of Donald Trump and his administration. That's the nicest way I can say it.
Trying to get in front of the cars, screaming at them.
Okay, he's just rage baiting anyways. Why bother?
Destroying property.
You have to bother because even though he's rage baiting, his retarded fans all unironically think this is based, what he's saying.
Again, going back to the BLM riots, burning down Tesla.
Back to the BLM riots. Remember 2 minutes ago when you said you have to go all the way back?
Killing Charlie Kirk. I mean, there were 2 assassinations on Trump as well.
Killing Charlie Kirk, some fucking random fucking freak who was raised in a red state by a MAGA family. Pardon? That's Democrats now.
Or at least attempt. I mean, at what point do you really, how long can this go on for, guys?
Good one, dude.
How long can we just keep making up bullshit?
I agree that it's fucked up what happened to Charlie Kirk. I don't think it's the Democratic Party. I don't think they own that though. And oh god, dude, I can't wait. I can't wait for the Nuremberg trials we have once Trump is gone. I want a life sentence for this moron.
Attacked. Yeah, exactly. What is going on with this?
Minimum.
Because if they're going to gerrymander, we say we're not going to do it on principle, then they just
Nobody said that. Nobody. This is the argument that I never made.
Everything, period, as far as the eye can see.
Whatever.
In a very weird way, once the other side starts cheating, in order to make it more fair, you also have to start cheating.
Yeah, it's called the prisoner's dilemma, but when you actually explain this out loud, people just think you're just making excuses for your own side. So it's like an unwinnable argument.
Start being insane to keep it fair, you also have to be
My bad. I thought you were calling him a freak. I didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk.
equally insane in the opposite direction.
Okay.
If I called anyone a freak, no. Oh, I called the guy who shot him a freak.
I mean, but let's be honest, Kyle. You guys were going to be insane no matter what. It might be convenient that Republicans do some things that are insane, but you were going to be insane anyway, all right? Let's be real.
It's the only way to do it. And again, he flips it and pretends like it's the Democrats who are totally unhinged, and that made the Republicans radicalized. Get the fuck out of here. Also,
well, I think if you want to talk about a policy decision that's very unhinged that makes people radicalized, I think that a good example of that is the trans in sports. So especially also.
This is retarded. This is why I hate Hassan Piker. You know why? Because he will die on these retarded hills where it's obviously stupid what he's saying, and then people point to that and they say the whole left believes this dumb thing that trans athletes in sports is fine across the board. You should never question it. It's most people don't believe this on the left. It's just the unhinged far left radical retard like Hassan, but they're used as representation for everyone.
So like trans kids using bathrooms. Now, you can make an argument that this isn't really a big issue, but if it's not a big issue,
The
then
bathroom thing is retarded. Who the fuck cares?
why are you fighting it so much? So
If it's not a big issue, then why are you fighting it so much? I hate when he does this. You shouldn't have to fight to like affirm a freedom to do something. You should have to fight to restrict a freedom. The onus is on the party trying to restrict the freedom.
I think that that's a radicalization issue that does affect average people, that makes people think that Democrats are ideologues and disconnected from reality. So if you're trying to make an argument that, for example, biological men should compete with biological women in sports, especially in high school sports or middle school sports, you're really kind of, this is, in my opinion, that argument is of the same validity of flat earth. This is a flat earth argument. So if a person gives an argument like that, it is so radical and so extreme and so devoid of any logic, rationality, biology, science, or even common sense that you have to assume that this person's mental facilities are compromised and you can't trust other things that they're going to say. That's the big difference.
Who's he even attacking with this though? Like who's defending that in this discussion? Or is he just giving an example?
And so I think he's using examples of policy things, and the examples he used were bad. But I'll give him an example that actually does make sense, that does radicalize, I think, Republicans in a lot of cases. And I think that's a great example of it. And so like that's one of the things that I think people see that and they're like, what the fuck? This is so crazy. This is so extreme. Nobody could actually believe this. And then they go all the way. That's it.
Yeah, but what you're describing is Asmongold. You're describing reactionary retardation. If you let your political ideology or beliefs or principles be defined by being like a reactionary moron who sees someone say something stupid, and so you need to sprint as fast as possible in the opposite direction, and that's how you form your belief system, you're a moron. Like, yeah, the trans athletes shit is dumb. Like, okay, so that means you have to be like a rabid like transphobe in every other area now? That just makes you a retard. I think there are probably like certain things where it's not a big deal. Like, I don't know why chess clubs are segregated by gender. I think that's weird. But like, if you're talking about like a physical sport and especially a contact sport, of course, no one would disagree with that. No one in their right mind, rather.
See how wanting to remove people who are here illegally is the same as trying to hurt people who are just doing their job fulfilling that? Well, it's because, so you have to understand that.
So baked into what this chatter said, here, I'll play it again.
I just don't see how wanting to remove people who are here illegally is the same as trying to hurt people who are just doing their job fulfilling.
So just ignoring the validity of all of the immigration shit for a second, the implication here is that the people in ICE are just doing their jobs and they're just like trying to fulfill this noble goal. And regardless of whether you think the goal is good or bad, they're not just doing that. They're being like, they're power tripping, they're being violent, they're being unhinged, they're acting like secret police because that's essentially what they are. So the reason why there is such a visceral reaction to ICE is because it looks like the fucking Gestapo, the way they're conducting themselves and being directed by Donald Trump.
Well, it's because, so you have to understand that.
Well, that's because chess is mainly a European thing, I think, and we've already established that they're racist. Obviously, they're sexist too. True. I do agree. America number one.
Kyle would never want an illegal immigrant or somebody living in his house without his permission. I don't think he would want that. However, he has no problem letting people live in other areas that he's probably has nothing to do with. Like,
say that again?
I mean, Kyle would never want an illegal immigrant or somebody living in his house without his permission.
In his house?
I don't think he would.
In his house? What does this have to do with whatever stupid shit he's about to say?
Want that.
This is like such a false dichotomy. What is he about to say? I'm actually going to lose my fucking mind. This must be rage bait, right? He's not this stupid. He can't be. No one can be this stupid.
He has no problem letting people live in other areas that he's probably has no.
Someone living in his house versus living in areas? Dude, his fans are idiots. They're just idiots. They're morons.
Nothing to do with. Like, I mean, Kyle's a relatively successful YouTube guy.
Bait. Great bait, man.
He does well for himself. I'm sure he makes a lot of money. And he probably lives in an area where there is a minimal amount of friction that's been caused by illegal migration.
I don't think Kyle Kulinski would... whatever. What's the point?
And he
It's such a fucking like annoying line of argument to walk down because you essentially have to defend illegal immigration, which I don't think illegal immigration is a good thing. I just think that the prescription for illegal immigration is fixing our immigration system. It's not like cracking down on people who are just trying to live a better life.
He also has a job that is in no like risk of being displaced by illegal migration either. So really, you have somebody who's totally disconnected from this issue that is telling other people that they should necessarily they should deal with it, right?
My favorite thing to watch right now is the out of shape new hires that can't run in their gear chasing illegals. Yeah, and it sucks because I feel bad for the National Guard who's getting deployed in places because the people in ICE are very voluntarily where they're at, right? The people in the National Guard are just people in the military who are being sent to do things. These are two different, very distinct groups of people, right? But they're being kind of grouped together, which I think sucks because the National Guard has no discretion over what they do. They literally, like, they don't have the right to deny an order. That's what happens when you join the military is you give up certain rights while you're serving in the military. ICE are just federal cops. They choose to be there. Most of them are brand new hires. They're all voluntarily doing what they're doing because they're fucking pigs, right? The National Guard are just military service members who are being sent places. So you shouldn't hate the National Guard.
Like, Republicans are put upon to have to condemn a Republican group chat where they were like loving Hitler. Like that should be easy. That should be a low fucking bar, bro.
Yeah, not as low as wanting to, have the kids of people that you disagree with politically be killed. No, I think loving Hitler is bad. Absolutely, it's bad. But if you're not willing to condemn somebody who fantasizes about having the children of his political opponents killed, then how can you expect anybody else to capitulate to what you want? I mean, what are we doing here? It's a joke, yeah. And also, all of those people, here's what's funny about it, is that all of those people from that group were removed. They were removed from that, I think it was like a Young Republican Society or something like that. They were all removed. So for a joke, they got removed.
Who the fuck cares
for telling
about a
the
group
truth
chat?
in private.
I don't give
Jay
a
Jones
shit.
got elected to Attorney General. Well, I think that we have a
bad.
problem.
He needs to elaborate.
But to them, it's not.
You have all these conservatives that are
lost,
saying,
bro. He lost the war.
Well, that's the main person I'm talking
He got cooked
about, right?
by the libs.
And it was in the context of that, this crazy stuff. And there's never
He got cooked by Brits and Americans, bro. That's a GG right there.
a point of moral authority that any liberal can have when you're the one justifying shutting down a college, or you're the one justifying being violent to an officer, or you're confused. I'm talking about the like whenever the pro-Palestine protesters came to like places like UCLA and they were violent towards other people that were trying to just do their work. They blocked access to certain buildings, they destroyed property, and they didn't follow police orders. That was I know we might be confused by that, but that's what I was discussing. The one justifying, destroying property, somebody's car, something like that. They all got blacklisted and fired from their jobs. Yes, but I understand that structurally, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened to them. What matters is how the public perceives it. And I think that this is continuing to become the case. I think that any conservative at this point should totally stop purity testing, because left-wing people don't purity test themselves. And if...
This is the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. The left is nothing if not purity test after purity test after fucking purity test. Holy shit.
He's so mad. Okay, all right, let's hear it. Okay, here we go.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
The extent to which this guy has no fucking idea what he's talking about, it's like he just...
Okay, I get it. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm an idiot. I'm a big stupid.
True.
Okay, let's hear why.
You are
got into 7 seconds ago.
mentally deficient, mentally disabled, mentally fried.
Okay.
Like literally just 7 seconds ago, he was like, politics, what's that? I have opinions on it.
Great.
What
Let's
is
hear
it?
yours.
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. That's the thing that gets me. Is
Well, here's what I think is very interesting. Even using his
It
own
just hurts me a lot because I liked Asmongold a lot for a long time, and it's a shame to see him the Rotman-Gold.
argumentation, doesn't that make him look kind of stupid? Is that even from somebody who's been involved in politics for 17 seconds, even they can tell that there's obviously a huge double standard that's at play, and I think the whole country can see it. So maybe you're too involved, maybe you're in too deep, and you're not able to just see the reality of it. Some of your chatters calling you wrong? Yeah. Well, maybe this is where they learned it from. He also commented on Jay Jones immediately dismissing it.
right, basically saying like you're not
That's not what he said.
typical Republican. You're not going to support legislation to change everybody's reality
That's
when it
not
comes to
what
gun
he said.
violence unless and until it impacts you. So Republicans lied about that and pretended like he wants to murder the kid of his opponent. That's bullshit. Everybody knows that's bullshit. But that's what they ran with, and the texts were so bad that people thought, oh, this will be a layup for Republicans. Wrong. So the betting markets had the Republican favorite to win for so fucking long, and literally just last night as the results started rolling in, boom, it flipped. And then Jay Jones ended up winning. That really...
Well, I guess that sure proves me wrong. Wow. Yeah, that's totally not what I was talking about at all, right, guys? Yeah, we saw the text messages.
I know he knows. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
You allow other people to create the optic.
By the way, just total aside about how I don't know what I'm talking about at all. Literally
I can't think of someone who knows less about what they're talking about.
no examples, no
Oh, there are plenty, my friend. I've been yapping about how fucking stupid this guy is for hours now.
reason for saying this, just that I'm stupid.
The nice thing is I'm going to have 150 TikToks lined up. I just think it's crazy, personally, that Asmongold supported Elon Musk cutting funding for cancer research for children because the same cuts also cut anti-deepfake legislation. He supported Elon Musk, of course, shooting down anti-deepfake legislation because he's a pedophile and he wants to make deepfakes of children. That's crazy. Not surprising, really, but bizarre nonetheless.
And I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess either my chatters learned it from him or he learned it from my chatters. Doesn't even address what I said. No, he doesn't even address it.
For you, all you're doing is you're allowing your enemy to define how you lose. And basically, you can see how
It makes sense why he was so eager to dismiss the Epstein stuff for Trump. You remember that tweet he made? Besides the Epstein stuff, it all is starting to come together. Pedo gold over here.
Here is what Trump and MAGA, here's what they've referred to Democrats as during the Trump era. The enemy within, scum, terror.
He's reading them out. Okay, so what I find to be
Oh, ooh. Better pause as soon as we start getting some counterfactuals, buddy. Better pause and frame it as disingenuously as possible. Yes.
funny about this is that, yes, Trump has used negative words.
I'm going to kill myself if he says that we're holding random people to the same. I'm going to kill myself. I'll do it. I'll fucking do it.
About Democrats. But how many times was Trump called a Nazi? How many times was he called a racist?
Well, I don't know if I'd call him. I think he's like old person racist. I think he's just a narcissist, frankly. I think almost everything Donald Trump does is motivated by narcissism.
How many times was he called a Russian asset?
He wasn't a Russian asset. He colluded with the Russian government, though.
Times where his protesters, his what do you call it? His like supporters called that. Hillary Clinton called the people who supported Trump a basket of deplorables. Like, we can trade lists of bad names all day.
Oh, I might have to throw in the towel on this video. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it anymore. I'm slumping. I'm getting tired. It's too much. I feel like I've stretched out 38 minutes into 3 hours. I don't know how long I've been covering this. When did I start this godforsaken nightmare? Time flies when you're having fun. Whatever. We'll just fucking stick it out.
Crazy thing to say.
Terrorists, vermin, radical, lunatics.
I would say calling somebody vermin, radical, or a lunatic is not even remotely in the same category as calling somebody a Nazi.
That's retarded.
I don't even think they're remotely close.
They're not remotely close because calling someone vermin is so much fucking worse, and it's a dog whistle.
Demonic, evil,
Demonic. Yeah, it's not even remotely close. They don't call Trump evil? What are we talking about?
fascist, Marxist,
Who called him a Nazi? Who called Trump a Nazi?
communist, garbage, the enemy of the people, treasonous, animals, degenerates, Jew haters, lowlives. This is how they talk about us. And then
And what do people say about Trump supporters? It's worse.
finally, when we go, okay,
Yes.
bet, these are the new rules, fine, we'll play by those rules too.
Whoa, no.
I don't hate Trump supporters. I think that there's a very massive, powerful, and complex propaganda machine that exists to create Trump supporters, not specifically Trump supporters because it's been in the works for decades, but to create a poorly informed populace, a lumpen proletariat, they call it. And I think that the average person without like a proper, especially if you grow up in one of these places where education is so poorly funded, like you don't stand a fucking chance against all of the misinformation that exists out there. If you don't have a good sense of media literacy, you don't stand a fucking chance. And so I don't view Trump supporters as bad people. I just view them as victims of like probably the most complex propaganda machine in human history. So
No, this was happening ever since the very beginning. This has always been what's happened. And I think the reason why people like Kyle were upset is that the words that they have used for many, many years, things like Nazi, racist, etc., all these bullshit words, have effectively lost all of their meaning. Like, nobody really cares whenever they hear these words anymore because
I will caveat that, though, and then say that I do view people like Asmongold as disgusting, horrible people, people who deliberately misinform their audience or grift or clout or money and perpetuate that propaganda machine. I would say those are the real villains, the people who need to be Nuremberg trialed.
you've used them so much that there's been a diminishing return on it, that people hear the word and they just immediately stop paying attention to you. And the reason why is because you've overused
Life
it.
in
You've used
prison,
it for everything.
Asmon, it's coming.
And so I think the problem, really, why Kyle's upset about it, is that the optics game that Democrats, I think, and a lot of these liberal people had a monopoly over, especially in media, has now, I think, to some degree been evened. And you have, obviously, Republicans saying crazy shit about Democrats, and
It had, yeah, sure. I mean, like, Republicans, there was a liberal media bias for a long time. That's true. But Republican media bias is literally just like not connected with reality in any semblance. So it's not really the same. It's more like it's been infested. Like, like the right, if the right wing media, if what they were talking about was like that you know, we need like fiscal responsibility, austerity, mate, or like the negative effects of the declining rate of religion in the United States, like real things. If they were talking about like real things with like a right wing perspective, then that would be fine. But it's all just like insane conspiracy theories. Like 80% of registered Republicans still believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. That's just not reality. Like, that is not connected with reality. How does 80% of the party believe something that is completely false, and not only completely false, but has no evidence to support it? Not a single shred of evidence has ever been presented to support the 2020 election conspiracy theory. How does 80% of the party believe it? That's insane. It's just not true. There are like certain like niche or niche is the wrong word, but like minutia issues where the left is broadly misinformed, but this is not a minutia issue, the 2020 election. This was a massive, years-long talking point. It still is a talking point. It's not like one thing I think that I would point out the left was broadly misinformed on was Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake was a justified police shooting incident, in my opinion, because Jacob Blake was trying to kidnap children and actively evade the police while kidnapping children. So that like the riots that broke out from that, which infamously led to the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, another situation that I think the left broadly was misinformed or wrong about. Who is who? Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense, was what I was going to say. And I think the left was broadly wrong about that because now Kyle Rittenhouse is a fucking moron. Oh, he was a black guy in Kenosha, Wisconsin, I believe, who was shot by police. He was not killed, actually. It's funny because a lot of people say shot and killed. He was not. He was paralyzed, I believe. The whole Rittenhouse family. Oh no, Kyle Rittenhouse is Kyle Rittenhouse should not have been where he was. He would like the notion that he like traveled out to fucking defend some random person on Facebook's property for them is so hilariously cucked. Like I don't even know how to begin to put together words to describe it. It's pathetic. It's stupid. It's idiotic. He shouldn't have been there. He legally shouldn't have been there. His parents are morons for letting him do that. But ultimately, that doesn't matter if you're evaluating whether or not he acted in self-defense, which he did. So, but those are examples of things I think the left gets wrong. The right literally thinks that the 2020 election was stolen. These are not comparable. There's no nuance to that. It's just a stupid, wrong conspiracy theory with zero grounding in reality.
Democrats that have repeatedly said crazy shit about Republicans. But for the early 2010s, and I think also for the 2020s as well, there has been a tremendous amount of optics that have been defined and controlled primarily by Democrats. And it's Democrats labeling somebody as something, and then that person having to defend themselves from that label. This has been the primary operating mechanism that they have used to control discourse for a very long time. And now,
no doubt it was was justified, but he should never have been there. Agreed.
It's not working anymore. People like Kyle are crying. And now they're saying, okay, now it's time to take the gloves off. You never had them on. You never had them on to begin with. This is always what's happened.
How you whine and cry and bitch and moan? No, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Compare what Obama has called Republicans or what Biden has called Republicans to what Trump has called Democrats. It is fucking night and day.
Those are the only 3 people that are involved, by the way. That's it. Those are the only 3 people.
You get fucking, buttoned up, civility, decorum, professional presidents from Biden and Obama when it comes to their language.
I don't know about being buckled up in civility with Biden. I think he was basically a walking corpse. I would agree.
That's interesting. Biden was old. What do you mean, though, civility? He was completely civil. Biden was too nice. Biden's whole thing was he wanted to be the great uniter or whatever. And he always reiterated, I represent all Americans, not just Democrats. Like, can you imagine Donald Trump saying something like that? Like, I represent all Americans. Like, no, Donald Trump went up on stage at Charlie Kirk's memorial and he said, I hate my enemies. I hate them. I want to destroy them.
Agree with him, like with Obama. I think Obama was great in terms of like how he carried himself and how he acted as president. I think he was great.
Obama was the GOAT.
Yeah, I think he was way better than Trump and also way better than Biden in terms of like being an international representative of the country. For sure. Yeah, true.
The other side. But Trump, no, he's fucking throwing haymakers left and right. And like I said, finally, the Democratic...
I mean, this is after they tried to put him in jail and, like fucking they gave him a mugshot.
Yeah, because he committed crimes. He committed several crimes.
I'd get charged him 34 times for the same exact crime. 34.
Yeah, that's how counts work. If you commit the same crime multiple times, you get multiple counts. Asmongold.
Felonies. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? It's pretty obvious that this is
doing here. He committed felony crimes.
Weaponized from both directions.
That is okay. Yeah, yes. Fuck Jay Jones, fine. We're totally fine.
It's not even disputable, is the thing.
And now
exactly. And so now, finally, now we have the actual. By the way, does he put this orange stuff on that Trump has? Look at his eyes and look at his forehead. What's going on here? How does this happen? I don't know. I just think it's odd, right? And anyway, so from an outsider's perspective, yeah. And so.
Ooh. Is he like is he molding a little bit, going after his appearance?
So let me go back. So okay, so now you're in favor and you're okay with Jay Jones. Okay, that's fine. And now we have an actual conversation because before he was saying, oh well, this isn't happening, it's not going to happen, etc. But no, actually, it is happening. You know it's happening, and you're okay with it. So that's fine.
I'm crying now. You want to bitch? Well, maybe you should have fucking thought about that when Trump was calling us the enemy within and fucking terrorists. Maybe you.
Because before that, nobody ever said anything bad about Trump or anything bad about his supporters ever. You see, he started it. Sure.
Policed your own side a little more, we wouldn't have gotten to the point where Jay Jones would be the standard bearer.
If you're going to vote for that person. That's right. And also, and I think this is another thing that's very revealing, and it's also revealing in a way that I think Democrats justify violence and rationalize it, is that they use things like calling somebody an idiot or calling somebody a lunatic or whatever, or an enemy, and then they compare that with somebody else fantasizing about literally killing someone. And I think this is more of the words or violence, I think.
He's downplaying so hard what actually happened because Donald Trump didn't just call Democrats enemies. Every single day for the past decade, Donald Trump has publicly stated that the Democrats are the enemy of the United States. Like, he alleged a deep state conspiracy theory. Like, he constantly alleges like a shadow presidency for Biden, that Obama was secretly pulling all the strings. Like, he calls them evil constantly. Like, it's not just like a one-off like phrase that he said or whatever. It's like a constant smear campaign with the attempt of radicalizing his supporter base against these people as brutally as possible.
What would you really call it? Like grift? The manipulation. Basically, that word, like your words are violence and my violence is freedom of speech. That's basically it. There's no comparison. Yeah, it's not even remotely.
It's almost like it's a diversion tactic. I don't even think I agree with you that it is in a lot of ways and in a lot of cases, but also I don't even know if Donald Trump needs to divert from anything. I think he's reached like the critical mass point a long time ago. I think he did. He reached the point where he could just say or do anything and his supporters wouldn't care. I mean, like, we'll see, right? We'll see if these Epstein files reveal him to be like a or something, then that would be interesting to see how his base reacts, because this is like the one thing that has actually gotten Republicans to like buck back against Donald Trump, because he's had total control of the party for like 8 years, because he didn't have total control of the party during his first presidency, but since Joe Biden took office, he's had complete and total unilateral control of the party.
And you're not justifying wanting to kill children? I don't know why you would do that. I don't know why.
Other than, the last 6 months, year, where this Epstein stuff has been boiling up, that's actually gotten people to kind of push back against him.
Why? Well, he said it wasn't even what happened, even though Jay Jones said that's literally what he said. You just see the
I don't understand how just being on flight logs isn't enough proof, because when someone likes a person, they will find any possible explanation unless you have cold hard proof of something. Nobody's actually going to care if anything comes out. I don't know. I'm so curious, because that would be crazy. Like if it comes out that he was doing like actual like shit and people just don't care, that would be unbelievable to me. I mean, like, it's possible nothing's gonna happen. He might lose. So what is that threat for Trump, right? Is the mandate he has from the Republican Party, right? Because up to this point, the Republican Party has fully and completely supported anything Donald Trump wanted, especially during this presidency. But if he loses the support of the party, he can't do shit. So it would depend on if the party turns against him.
The fucking text message, it's right there. Also, if you act like a terrorist, maybe you are a terrorist. Yeah, and exactly. And also, by the way, I'm gonna be honest. If you are the kind of person that's going out and you are burning down Teslas, you are destroying property, you are vandalizing things, you're victimizing people, you're blocking roads, and you're destroying things, you are the enemy within. You absolutely are. This is something that is objective. It's not about a Democrat or a Republican. You are the enemy within. You are a lunatic. You are crazy, and you need to be put in jail. And that's why we have laws
Life in
against these
prison.
things.
It's coming, Asmon. Don't worry.
But withdraw their nominations from them. Well, then
Lock
I don't
him
want to hear
up.
from you about how bad it is that somebody said something bad in the group chat. Yeah.
It's just absolutely fucking incredible. It's amazing how he can.
I sped it up, dude, because I've been doing this for 3 hours. I want to fucking finish this in like a
Flip
reasonable.
the reality on its head.
I don't want this to be a 6-hour video.
Well, you've got to at least get the reality right, huh?
So smoothly, and not even fucking think twice about it. Not even think twice about it. Meanwhile, who's the biggest commentator on the right these days? Nick Fuentes. Here's some stuff Nick Fuentes has said. Quote, Hitler was really fucking cool. I admire Hitler. I don't care that much about the genocide in Gaza.
Nick has said a lot of crazy shit over the years.
Ambivalent. He postures like he's pro-Palestine. That's what he's actually said about it. He said, women shouldn't have the right to vote. Boys and girls should get married.
And how many crazy leftist people are out there? Oh, but Hassan said this thing. What the fuck does that have to do with me? But Nick said this thing. Okay.
What does that have to do with you? What does this have to do with you? It has to do with the fact that what you're talking about is whether or not Republicans hold their own accountable, essentially. And when the largest figure, or like the rising star figure for the right, is Nick Fuentes, who is not like a buzzword, an actual neo-Nazi, like an actual Holocaust denier neo-Nazi, that is concerning, with the notion that like, oh, you guys hold yourselves accountable. That doesn't bode well for that.
All right.
Quote, be against women's rights. Be against them getting educated. He said ban birth controls, ban contraceptives, don't allow women in the workplace, ban them from voting, pornography should be banned.
I don't know why I said all this. I don't remember saying any of this myself at all.
He called for Catholic Taliban rule. He said, quote, we want to go back to the Middle Ages. This is your side, and this is the future of your fucking side.
He said, pull together a collage of just as unhinged things Asmongold has said, dude. Like, calling for Taliban rule is pretty sick, though. Sick as in that's sick, dude, or sick as in sick in the fucking head.
Okay. I mean, like, what? I mean, what does that have to do with me?
Quote, democracy is wrong. Quote, I fucking hate the poor. I love the rich. And you're going to come after us. Yeah. You're going to come after us, the left, who's fucking the core of what we believe is, hey, everybody should be treated equally and fairly.
Okay. Except for people that you're running against.
The core of what we believe is we should have universal health care and free college.
Then why were you okay with the ACA that was just basically a fucking welfare for these companies
and a living wage, and we should end the wars, and we should,
because in like ridiculousness sick. Oh, you mean Robin Big sick? This is sick. This is fat.
Let people join unions, but we should have paid time off by law, paid vacation time, paid maternity leave.
This is, I think, the problem is that with a lot of these things, I actually agree with him on. Now, we might disagree with like how to get there, but like I also want a lot of these things too. But I think that these fixation around identity politics and these fringe extreme topics like Jay Jones wanting to kill people just are noise, and they get in the way of having a
You're the one who fixates on them, dipshit. Hello? Okay. So here's an interesting thing that happens in the culture. Is the culture kind of is like a pendulum. It swings back and forth. The right has cultural control, and then the left, and then the right, and then the left, whatever. Whoever is in control of the culture at whatever given moments, like right now the right, 5 years ago the left, they become snowflakes. And now the right has become snowflakes. So the right is the side pushing identity politics at the moment. The left was absolutely the side pushing identity politics 5 years ago, no doubt about it. But now the right is pushing identity politics at every turn. All they can talk about, all they can get their mind, the only thing that the conservative mind can think about is trans girl cock. So like that, like id poll is not a left-wing thing. it's a whoever's has cultural power at the moment thing, because it's a distraction.
Conversation about that. It does, because I think that in a lot of these cases,
That doesn't mean that everything that has to do with identity politics is worthless or not worth discussing at all, but like it's weaponized as a distraction.
like fundamentally, I think most Americans want the same thing, right? To a degree, right? Not that they all want universal health care, but I think that people generally want to be taken care of. They want to. Kulinski says a lot of extreme things himself, by the way, like Asmon and Fuentes. Oh, I'm sure he has. And then yeah, I remember Kathy Griffin. That's a good point. Once Kathy Griffin posted a picture holding Trump's head, it was published everywhere, and he's talking if Democrats are saints. Yeah, Democrats and Republicans do bad things. So it's very obvious that that's what happened, and all of that happened, by the way, in 2016, not recently. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what this is. Is this how politicians talk before 2016? Yeah, and so what Nick Fuentes said, like, I don't have to defend that. I didn't say that. Why the fuck would I even why even bring that up? There's nothing to do with it.
And we're the fucking problem?
Yes.
I can't with guys like this. It's just
You can't, because because engaging with the reality of what's being said is so obviously against you that you don't want to admit it. It's very obvious that the Democrats have been the massively violent ones. And if you look at all these studies, by the way, that were conducted, these studies don't show a massive rise in violence that happened in 2020. They don't show the massive rises in violence that happened during the Tesla bombings, for example. And the reason why is because all of these studies are biased. But any reasonable person who just looks at the news can clearly see that every single time that there is anything violent, besides maybe January 6th and maybe one or two other times, the majority of mass violence and mass hysteria is done by Democrats.
It's just not true.
It's done by leftist people.
He's lying.
Whether it is the Tesla attacks, BLM, or these ICE protests.
attacks.
These are all left-wing things that are happening
There have
across.
been far-right militias that have been active in the United States since at least the 90s. I mean, like, honestly, if you can go back even further to like the KKK and shit, but like, this is just not true. And it's very easy to find out that the most pressing domestic terrorist threat is far-right nationalism, but whatever. We can just make shit up.
The entire country, and they are justified, rationalized, and considered okay by so many liberals, and that's a huge problem. Antifa, yeah, it's another one, or the assassinations, exactly. You see, it's not violence because it's justice, yes. Mind you, we're talking about current events, yes, exactly. I'm sure that you can come up with bad things that right-wing people have done in the past too. Of course you can, but I think overwhelmingly in the past 5 years, or especially since Trump became the president, really, which is the frame of reference that we're really using here, overwhelmingly, it's been Democrats, overwhelmingly leftists. It's not even close. The college protests too, yeah, exactly.
Delusion.
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
The college
They're
protests.
also including right-wing violence in prisons. Yeah,
Is he
and again,
serious?
these studies they're biased. They're biased, and they are conducted in ways that are misleading.
This is
And
just
anybody
a
who knows anything
lie.
about statistics would know that.
I don't even know why he bothers. Why,
Yes.
and also, wasn't he like
I'm South
casually
African, we can
saying
see
some of the most
Democrats violent.
genocidal shit anybody's ever heard
He's
about
lying to
Palestine not that long ago?
10,000
Yes, and that's the
people and
difference. The
40,000
difference
bots
between
right now.
me
Disgusting.
and I think a lot of people like Kyle is that if I say something that I think is wrong, I will say, I think that was wrong, I shouldn't have said that. But the problem is that
No, you
people like
won't.
Kyle don't accept that. They don't accept that. They don't want to hear that. And all they do is double down. That's it. And that's why I think they lose also. It's because they're unwilling to self-evaluate.
Asmongold
no,
said that 85% of people should have the right to vote revoked in the United States. And then the next day, instead of owning up to it and saying that was a stupid thing of me to say, he said it was a social experiment. This dude's fucking deranged.
I'm not tongue policing. I'm just saying stop burning down cars. Holy shit, is it that hard? Stop
No, you're not.
setting cars on fire. That's it. Stop throwing bricks at police officers. You guys can, you can have whatever you want to, saying some crazy shit. Yeah, some of it might be a bit over the line, but just stop throwing bricks. Stop being violent. That's it. I feel like it's such a low bar.
Okay, tell ICE to stop fucking black bagging people in the street.
Tone police yourself, you bitch. What did he say? He said something really atrocious.
I did. That's why I apologize. I just wish you guys could do the same thing.
Yes, I don't remember the specifics, but it was something like, I don't feel bad at all talking about the dead people in Gaza. I don't feel bad at all. They want to say something like they're inferior. They're an inferior people. They're an inferior culture.
Inferior
or something
culture,
like that. I mean, I have nothing but disdain and scorn for such a smug
I would have never guessed.
prick, who, by the way, is also quite
Who
judgmental,
puts the bricks there in the first place? The FBI and the CIA.
considering it.
I love. How is it that I'm the smug and judgmental one? Meanwhile, you're sitting in your house. And you obviously are, I mean, let's be real, okay? Being a smug, judgmental prick. You're sitting in your house, you record these videos behind all of the books that maybe you've read, maybe you haven't read, it doesn't really matter. You're very obviously trying to portray yourself and present yourself as this intellectual person and create a degree of authority. And that's why you're wearing a suit. That's why you've got all the books behind you. That's why you got the spray tan on. Like, everything that you're doing here is a performance in order for people to think that you're more authoritative than you are. And that's totally fine for you to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't want to hear that I'm the one that's smug while I'm sitting here in a white t-shirt in my mom's attic from some guy who's sitting in his living room wearing a suit with a bunch of books behind him so he can appear to look like he's authoritative. I don't want to hear that. If anybody's smug, it's you.
But does he not recognize? I mean, I'm sure he does recognize, right? He's a propagandist. He's doing the exact same thing he is trying to paint a picture that is dismissive of their credibility. So
Okay, and this is not even a personal
it's
thing.
the same thing. It was clearly very personal. I don't know. I feel like this Kyle Kulinski video, I don't think it was perfect. It could have been better in a lot of ways. I think it mauled the fuck out of him because he's like salty as fuck, dude. He's like going in.
It's just an objective fact. I mean, what are we talking about here? What is this? He's not wearing shorts? I don't know. Maybe he's
My
wearing a
mom's addict. There's no way he's that stupid. No, he's a grifter. I don't think he's that stupid. I think he's very, very intentional about what he does, honestly.
full pant shoot. Maybe he's wearing underwear underneath. I don't want to know. I don't know.
He's got cockroaches and fucking rats and shit in the background.
Oh, as opposed to you. What you know what I could do? This is what I could do. So I could actually get a bunch of books and then put them behind me, and I could wear a suit too. I could do that. Would you like that? Would that make you take me more seriously? Would that make you?
We're here for views, but there are certain things that are like disgusting, like Hassan being a literal Chinese Communist Party like operative now, like an actual paid propagandist for the CCP is disgusting. That goes beyond like anything else he's ever done, in my opinion.
You listen more.
That's like Jackson Hinkle tier level, like fucking disgusting. It's like when Tucker went to fucking Russia and went in the grocery stores and was like, guys, they have food. They have food. See, Russia's great. It's the same shit. It's just propaganda. Hassan's a worse person, but I think Asmongold is worse for the world right now because at the end of the day, communism is irrelevant in the United States and it always will be. But fascism is on the rise, baby. And Asmongold is cheerleading it all the fucking way.